were back on tour last May, and since then you guys did some concerts in Europe. What was it like finally returning to stage more than 2 years after the beginning of the pandemic?
It took us a while to get back in shape, so to say. So we rehearsed a bit, of course. So during the rehearsals, so everything came back a bit, so as we are used to have. And so, yeah, we couldn't wait then to get back on stage. This time we were kind of flustered, a bit excited and nervous, because after having been off stage for almost 3 years, so to say, almost 3, 2.5 to be exactly. So it was kind of, how would it be? And yeah, but right at the moment we got on stage, in my case, so I was in, so it was like, oh, okay, I'm back home. So, and yeah, the feeling was there, and yeah, that's it. And we had a lot of fun, and we still have, and can't wait to get on your country or continent.
Yes. And it's funny to see that the last Halloween concerts before the pandemic were just in Brazil. You guys did a long tour here in 2019, and it's funny to imagine that maybe it could be the last concerts from Halloween.
Funny saying that, because during the pandemic, that off time, a lot of times I thought, okay, when this concert in Rock in Rio is supposed to be, or considered to be, the last one for my career, hey, what a happy ending, you know. Hey, it was a long time dream, once playing on the main stage and being broadcasted in Rock in Rio, because I grew up watching Iron Maiden and Bon Jovi and you name all these bands in the earlier days, where Rock in Rio was really huge, three times huge, you know. And so it was for me, wow, once being on that stage and bam, okay, and now it should be my last one. Okay, could be even worse.
Absolutely. And now that you guys are back on stage, and considering that Halloween has such a technical approach to the performance, what were the main challenges of returning to stage after so long, especially for you as a drummer?
Yeah, to get back a bit the feel of, you know, to me, playing drums on stage, heavy metal is supposed to be, I consider it to be a kind of a sport. So I needed a bit time to get into that feeling of, okay, conduct yourself at the beginning so that you can make it through an entire show. So, and the coldness sometimes, or even the heat and stuff, and all the little issues, the electronic problems, the monitor problems. So here we are back again, still around. But yeah, that took a while, some concerts, to be honest, to get back to grips, all the stuff. And so, yeah, we'll see what happens next, huh?
Yeah. And for the upcoming concerts in Brazil, you guys are going to bring Hammerfall as a special guest. What can you say about Hammerfall and the guys from the band?
I mean, we've known one another for such a long time, maybe over 20. Consider myself, I know these guys, I've known these guys ever since. And so now being on tour with them means a lot to us, because we have a good relationship. And so, yeah, and we thought Hammerfall is a huge band. On the other hand, on this hand, it's a kind of different kind of music. You know, they deliver kind of a different heavy metal genre, I would say. We are more speedy, they are more groovy. So my opinion, I think it matches, it works, it suits together. And for the fans, I think it's a big thing, a diverse thing. It's not just one kind of heavy metal. So it's a diversity going on then, because of the Hammerfall groovy stuff, our speed stuff. And so I guess it'll be a great mixture for a fan.
Absolutely. And talking about the concert itself, what can fans expect from these shows in Brazil in terms of set list, stage production, and other related stuff?
I will bring a new, of course, a new set stage, stage set, long time, blah, blah, blah today. Stage set, of course, a little bit different to the past few stage sets, of course, as always. And the set list, hopefully the fans like it, of course, first of all, but we always try to have a great mixture, containing legendary songs, must-have songs, such as Eagle and stuff. Can't imagine playing a concert without Eagle or Future or whatever. All this kind of big hits, And then we're bringing back some old stuff, really old stuff from the Walls and from the Keeper stuff we haven't played together or for a long time, of course. And of course, we're trying to implement as much new songs as possible. That all together should be a colorful concert, set list, whatever. I mean, you will always have fans who aren't satisfied about the set list. But you can't be everyone's darling. So when we put together a set list, we're just trying to suit the set list our whatever we want to have, And so at the end of the day, hopefully the fans like it as much as we do.
Yes. And are you guys planning any changes for the set list compared to the previous concerts in Europe?
Yeah, of course. This time we try, because we have a shorter set list than we had on the Pumpkins United tour. Of course, Pumpkins United was around 3 hours. Now we are going to play 2 hours because with Hammerfall we can't play 3 hours. That meant to be almost a 4-hour show night for the fans. That would be even too long. So we cut our set list to around 2 hours. And so, at the beginning in England, we checked out some songs, Hellfest, and followed by Hungry and whatever we played already. We checked out different songs, different set lists and stuff. And of course, we still work on new material to bring onto stage for the different continents,
Yes.
To be a kind of unpredictable.
Yeah, kind of.
And
now a kind of a technical question for you. Many songs from the regular set list were originally recorded by the late Ingo or by Uli. Amazing drummers, just like you, of course, but we're talking about different drummers with slightly different styles.
Legendary drummer.
Yeah. What are the main differences between Ingo's style and Uli's style on the drums, in your opinion? And what is your main goal as a performer when you have to play songs made by other drummers?
First of all, I mean, Ingo is a legendary drummer. Yeah. Hey, I'm in awe of his drumming ever since. And he laid down he founded some really cool speed metal drumming. He's, for me, the founder, the icon of the legendary German speed metal drumming, no doubt about it. And when I joined Helloween, so I tried to play every little detail. I spent a lot of time into all those little details he had in his playing, and he laid down on the tracks, and the fans are used to listen to it, That's what I do in general. Every time when I play a song from Uli or whoever drummer you want to name now, I always really dive into the kind of drumming and try to implement as much as possible of all the little details that are recorded, because that little blink blinks and stuff you want to name, that makes a drum pattern, that makes a drum tune, that makes the drum arrangement, and that is a big, huge part of a song. So yeah, and it's always challenging to be pretend being another drummer, you know, and glue into that stuff of drumming and glue into the kind of feeling. Uli has a completely different feeling than Ingo, and both of them do have a completely different feeling that than I have, you know. And so I consider myself a kind of a symbiosis of both. I'm not as technical as Uli, and I'm not as straight ahead as, for example, Ingo is known for. So I guess I consider myself as a good symbiosis or mixture of both drummers.
Yeah, and we have some extra time, and I'd like to ask you about the last album released last year, of course. And I had the opportunity to interview Andy Darius last year to discuss the record, and he spoke a lot about the recording process of the drums because of that old Ingo's drum kit. What was it like recording with that kit and recording an album with the extended lineup with Michael Kiske and Kai Hansen?
I mean, of course, this time the expectations were really high. You know, there was to me, it was a kind of pressure going on during the recordings that we could feel. Even though it hadn't any impact of our writing stuff or whatever, we were in good mood. We got along with each other really well. So we had a good mood going on, and everybody was in good shape on the other end, because we just came back from Rock in Rio. And so we started working. And regarding your question about the Ingo drum kit, I mean, it was actually my idea to bring that kind of really old drum kits from the 80s back on track. Because if you listened to all those old records from the 80s, 90 or 80% were recorded with the kind of sonore drum kit as I have here in the background. You know, that's a really old one. It's the same I had on the recordings, the same series, of course. But those drums were recorded almost on every record during the 80s and 90s. That were a kind of the standard, or that's the face of the drum sound from the 80s. So I wanted to get back that kind of drum sound because of that new lineup, and we wanted to get back a bit to the old habits of recording from the 80s. So that was a good idea, and together with Charlie, our longtime producer, I mean, we worked really hard to get back that kind of drum sound, and at the end it suits really well the songs. And of course it was an honor. On the other side, it was Ingo's legendary drum kit that took place on so many legendary Helloween albums, such as Keeper and whatever, you know. And so I'm still a little music fan. So I'm still stoked that I had the chance to record a legendary Helloween album with that kind of drum kit, you know.
Awesome. And for my last question, what are the next plans for Helloween after the Latin America tour? More concerts, maybe record a new album, live DVD. What are the plans?
We suppose to consider to get back in December. In December this year, December. That will be there. We are going to play the last shows for this year. And at the beginning of next year, I guess we're going to play, we will play North America, as well as Japan and Asia. We're trying to play as much as possible continents as we are used to do. And in between, I suppose that there will be tons of festivals take place. And then we are talking about 24. And then we will see what's next. If you're going to play a new tour or if you're going to record a new album, I have no clue. So
Hammerfall, we're back on tour last May. And since then, you guys did some concerts in Europe. What was it like finally returning to stage after more than 2 years after the beginning of the pandemic?
Well, I think both Hammerfall as a band and the fans of Hammerfall and music in general really missed each other. And I mean, when you kind of put your foot on the stage for the first time in over 2 years, it was a bit shaky, because 2 years is a very, very long time. And you've done so many other things in the meantime. And I think it's kind of a mindset that you need to work on. You really need to work on this, because even though it's so much fun being on stage, problem now is that we're doing like 1 show here, 2 shows there, and we're flying back home. It's not the shows that are exhausting, it's the travels. So, but it's been fantastic. And I just love being back on stage, meeting the fans. We've done shows now over Europe, and we're going to continue flying down to Germany now in next week, and then we're going to continue the tour with Helloween that we do over here in Europe also in September, just before we fly over to South America. So I'm so happy to be back.
Yeah, it's good to hear that. And now that you guys are back on the road, and considering that you're a singer, which is obviously one of the most physical demanding positions in a band, what were the main challenges of returning to stage after so long?
Being able to sing for 90 minutes without kind of losing your voice, or I would say being able to deliver a full show. Because it's not like I've been at home practicing for 2 years, you know? I've been home doing nothing for 2 years. But usually I have a pretty good technique. So after a couple of shows, I felt, you know, I kind of got into it again, but I still need to rely on my technique and also use my head a lot. Like, okay, don't get too carried away, because in that case, you will not be able to sing tomorrow. So it's kind of a slow process going, getting back to normal, but now at least, I mean, I have a microphone here and I'm singing a little bit every day now, just to maintain my voice.
Yeah, and you guys are going to perform with Helloween here in Brazil. What can you say about Helloween and the guys from the band?
Helloween, first of all, is one of the main influences for Hammerfall as a band. For me and Oscar as a songwriter, we both grew up with Helloween, so it's a big dream come true now to be able to do in the end, I'm pretty sure this will be a world tour when this is over, because we do Europe now, we do South America, but as a special guest. And then I think we're going to add North America, but this is still, you know, in the process. We've known these guys for such a long time. The first band that took Hammerfall on tour was Gamma Ray back in 1997. So we got to know Kai Hansen. We recorded an album in Andy Darris's studio in Tenerife. So we get really close with Andy Darris. And I've done shows with Michael Kiskis. I know Michael. So it's just the masters and the pupils going on tour together, showing what true heavy metal is all about. So it's a fantastic package. It's the ultimate heavy metal package, in my opinion.
Amazing. And talking about the concert itself, what can fans expect from these shows in Brazil in terms of set lists, stage productions, and other related stuff?
It's always hard to bring a big stage production from Europe, of course. So we're going to try and make it as big and as solid as possible. We just have to keep in mind that in Europe, it's a package tour. In South America, it's Helloween with special guest Hammerfall. So it will be slightly shorter, but I mean, it's going to be 60 minutes, you know, pedal to the metal, heavy metal, according to Hammerfall. I mean, we're not going to save any energy or anything like that. We're just going to go down there and have as much fun as we always do when we tour South America, and of course in Brazil being one of the most important countries for us in the whole world.
Yes, and I was checking your previous set lists, And I like that you guys play songs from all albums. Of course, you guys are promoting Hammer of Dawn, but you guys play songs from. I mean, I don't know if there are albums represented on the set list, but almost the whole albums.
Yes, we always, you know, this is kind of the way we create set lists. We want to be able to involve as many albums as possible, because there are fans that kind of grew up with Hammerfall. They're relating to the early stuff. You have new fans that maybe discovered Hammerfall with Hammer of Dawn or Revolution. Oh, of course, we're going to give you, you know, a song from maybe there is no song from Revolution. I don't know. But we're trying to make it as kind of interesting as possible for everyone. So yeah, and also it has to be interesting for us as well.
And as you mentioned before, we can't deny that Brazilian headbangers love Hammerfall. Your first concerts here were in 1999, I guess. And
I think, yeah.
Yes, and then you guys came back for another 6 tours. I counted. The last tour here was in 2017, 5 years ago. So obviously it's been a long time. So what can you say about this relationship with our country? It's
always nice to come down to Brazil and to South America, because you're so passionate about what you like and what you love. And when we enter the stage, there's so much love coming from the audience. So sometimes it's like hard to hear yourself on stage because the fans are so loud and they're so emotional, you know, in front of the stage. And I just love that. I love that. We should learn from you guys. I mean, in Sweden, people are a little bit like, yeah, you know, yeah, it's good, but I'm not going to show it. I'm not going to show it. So it's been, you know, every tour, every show, it's been a very positive experience in Brazil.
Yeah, and let me test your memory a little bit. Do you have any memories from the first tour back in 1999?
Yeah, we did an acoustic set, I think. And also we went up to on vacation a couple of days before the tour started in a tourist place outside Sao Paulo. What was the name of the place? Because I remember there was a cover band playing, and all of a sudden we just showed up. Hey, we're Hammerfall. Can we use your equipment, your backline? Yeah, sure. Let's do it.
Yeah, you guys played 3 concerts in São Paulo, according to setlist.fm, but there's no mention to another city near São Paulo.
No, but that was kind of off the record. Only we went up there. I think we played Breaking the Law. We were drunk, and but one of the shows in Sao Paulo was an acoustic set. I know that.
Yeah, amazing. And we have some extra time, so I'd like to ask you about the last album, Hammer of Dawn, released 6 months ago. How do you feel about the record right now, 6 months after its release?
Due to the fact that we were not able to go out on tour right away, that we had to push the whole United Forces tour in Europe again, it feels kind of weird that we released an album and nothing really happened. There's no way for us to promote it. So that kind of sucked. But I listen to the album once in a while, especially when I'm out running, and it's a fantastic album. I love the energy, because we were able to kind of channelize all the frustration that got built up during the pandemic. We kind of got into the production. So you can hear that this is still, even though we're in the 50s now, we're still a hungry, maybe not young, but I still see Hammerfall as a young band. As long as you have Iron Maiden out there, as long as you have bands in their generation, I consider Hammerfall being a young band.
Of course. And you guys brought King Diamond, the man itself, to record guest vocals for one of the new tracks, Venerate Me. How did that come about?
When Oscar wrote that part of that song, he said, you know what, I always think about King Diamond when I, in this part of the song. And I listened like, yeah, I totally understand what you're saying. And why don't we just ask him? I mean, we know King, we met King. King came to see us when we played in Dallas. We met him a couple of times at festivals. And of course, Pontus, the second guitar player, is King Diamond's sound engineer, live. So Pontus just called him and King said, hell, fuck yeah, I want to do this. But we have to keep in mind, this is like a special guest appearance. He just comes in there, he does a small part, and then it's out of there. So now we're talking quality and not the quantity. Napalm Records, the label, they wanted to put featuring King Diamond, and we said no. It's not a feature. It's like a special guest appearance. If I would have decided, if I could make the decision, I wouldn't even put his name there. I think it would be cooler for people to kind of like, the people who knows, they know. Like, who's that? Like, it sounds like King Diamond. And then you will start like a buzz on the internet, people talking. I think that would have been, a better idea. But
it's like an Easter egg, right?
It is what it is.
Yeah. And you talked about your impressions about the album, but how has been the reaction to the album among fans?
I think we haven't really met the fans in person yet, but we've done shows now in UK, we've done in Czech Republic, Austria, Budapest, Hungary, Slovakia, and some other countries, Switzerland. And it seemed when we play, especially like Hammer of Dawn, people are really into that song, because that's a very typical type of hymn type of song that's very characteristical for Hammerfall. And you try to avoid reading like on what people post, because there's always someone saying really negative stuff, and you don't want to read that. I think the proof if people like it or not is when we go on tour and the people show up. I'm very proud of the album, and from what I heard, it seems like the fans love it too.
Yes. And for my last question, let me test your memory a little bit again, because this year's marked the 25th anniversary of Hammerfall's first album, Glory to the Brave. What memories do you have from writing and recording this album?
I mean, this was the very first album I recorded. This was the very first album I co-wrote. So I kind of remember more or less everything from it. I was working part-time at a record store, so I didn't have much time to really compose, but I was actually writing most of the lyrics at work. I stood there in some quiet periods. I had always had my pen and some paper, and I always writing. Came back home and had my CD, kind of 4-track. No, not CD. It was before CD. This was the 4-track cassette recorder. So I just tried the lyrics, and I tried some new melodies I was thinking of, and now it was a fantastic time. I mean, this is proof that you can actually make a delicious dish with no ingredients. I mean, we had 10 days in the studio to record, mix, and master. But somehow we kind of managed to create something unique.
Yes. And an extra last question, because I forgot to ask before. You mentioned that there is a possibility of a North American tour with Helloween. So I'd like to know Hammerfall's plans for this year, next year. What do you guys already have in schedule, not only related to touring, but recording anyways?
Well, now we're just going to try and put all the pieces together. This European tour that was supposed to be 6 weeks. Now this is just spread out all over the place. So we're going to focus on Europe, and then of course we have South America. Then we come back and we have a couple of more shows in Europe. And next year, whether or not we do North America with Helloween, we're going to tour North America. And then of course there's a lot of festivals coming up next summer. So there are no plans for any recordings or any releases in this period.